Kids read it, their friends read it. Now, seeing the movie, as people know, and if you've read the book, they changed the ending. They changed your ending. How do you feel about that as an author?
I was okay with it. I went into this knowing that with film adaptations, I consider it like the fraternal twin to the book. I knew it wouldn't be identical, and I was like, this is a parent trap situation. The publisher's raising one kid, and the studio and the producer are raising the other kid, and I just hope that they can both get them into Harvard, That's what I was just hoping for. So when they told me, though, that they were changing the ending, I was like, okay, I think I know you're raising this kid, you got this, you can do this. And then when I read it, though, I was so blown away by it that I called my editor, and the book was out at the time. I called my editor, and I was like, so is it possible we can change the ending? And she's like, no, what are you talking about? But for me, it's still the heart of the story. It's still everything that I wanted to get across in the book. You get that in the movie as well. And for me, that was the most important part.
Now, Russell, you have a number of powerful scenes in this movie, but one that a lot of people talk about is the talk. Now, I want to know, have you ever given the talk? Have you ever been given the talk by someone? What's your relationship to the talk in real life?
Well, I have two young boys, 3 and 1 right now, so it's still a little early. But I wasn't necessarily given the talk in terms of sitting down and saying, this is what you have to do if this happens. It was more of an evolutionary thing just over time. You'd get in trouble in your neighborhood or at school, and my mother would say, you better watch out because basically they take black boys to jail. And so that was constantly reinforced. And I had uncles and other family members who would just, continue to reinforce that you can go to jail if you do things wrong. And so, those are things that just kept, going through your mind as you're growing up, and just to be mindful. And then I got to about 15 or 16 when I first, got stopped by the police running for the bus. And then, it was about 17 when I got stopped, driving. And then you go home and, I'm in tears and I just got stopped for no reason. And my mother would just say, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's going to happen again. So what are you going to do? And it was just a constant dialogue that we were having, a constant conversation that just evolves and changes over time. And you just have to be ready for it and prepared for it. And I think the beautiful thing when I was coming up, because of hip hop, we were constantly being informed as well. So the hip hop generation, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding was helping us, get prepared for what was out there. So we knew these things were coming. And so these were also conversations that I was having with my friends, with my peers, and whatnot.
Now, you mentioned hip hop. Obviously, rappers have been talking about police brutality for decades. And maybe the one thing that's changed is cameras. And while you were making this film, people got shot. While the film came out, people got shot. More recently, a security guard who was stopping someone, he gets shot. Do films like this make a difference? Why do you put a film like this out there in terms of, do you think it'll actually help to change the dialogue? And have you seen any change so far? I'll give this question to Amandla. But anyone can take it, but go for it.
We get asked that question a lot. I don't think the film necessarily points to one action piece, but I do know that when we have Q&As, particularly with white audiences, someone will raise their hand and say, I didn't know that it felt like this for you. And when we show it to black kids who have gone through similar things, they say, I feel less alone in my experience now. And so I think at the end of the day, that's what is the most important. I don't know that the point of this, or even the role of art in social movements, is to point to one specific action point to make those tangible change. I feel like that's up to legislation, and that's up to things that don't really exist within the realm of art. But I do think that what it does in times of chaos is it grounds us, in what makes us most human, and reminds us of the grievances that we share, of the things that we don't share, to not think of these as just intellectual debates or conversations, but as real things happening to real people, and to connect to the pain that other communities that you might not understand are experiencing. And I think that has always been a really integral part of moving towards a place of change. You know, if we can get in a room together and have a conversation about these topics after having hopefully exposed people to new feelings or made them feel represented or validated, I think that can be fuel and something that ties us to the ground and gives us wings at the same time when we're approaching how we actually exercise that change.
If that answer was so much smarter than my question, it really
I do think that the film serves as an agent of change. I think that what you want to have in a film, in the way I think we approached it in such an authentic manner, is that what you want to do in this day, in this age, in this time, is you want to get audiences to feel. And so you want people to walk out feeling some kind of way. You know, I often quote, we've been on this circuit, I quote the Tin Man from The Wiz, and he says, "What would I do if I could suddenly feel? If I could reach inside of me and say, I like what I see, then I'd be more than glad to share all that I have inside me here. And if a tear should come to my eyes, think of all the wounds they would mend. And just to think the time we can spend being vulnerable again." So if we're vulnerable, if we're able to take that time to feel, how does that change the way we think? How does that change the way we engage each other? How does that change our conversation? How does that change dialogue? So what we're able to do is we're able to take that moment of feeling that we got from the film, that we got from that moment, and we're able to go off into our different communities and our different sects and our jobs and say, listen, this is what I felt. This is what this film did to me. You should either see it or let's talk about it, or it changes the dynamics of how you start to think. And again, when we talk about change, we always look at change and we hope that change is a revolutionary process, but it's not. Realistically, change is evolutionary, right? So revolution is quick change. Evolution is change over time. So you just hope that this can have an evolutionary change, that this should just be change over time. And this is where it begins, right here. And we're all able to sort of engage in that and be a part of that. And it ends up being a fruitful conversation and debate.